What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Freshman Finance. My name is Patrick.
And I'm Basha.
And today we're discussing a topic that's near and dear to my heart, the pros and cons of index investing.
In the last video, we talked about what is an index, how to buy the market, who is the strategy best suited for, and what type of indices are out there. If you haven't had a chance to watch the video yet, the link is here.
So today we're going to see if this is a strategy that will work for you. Let's get started.
Without further ado, let's start with the pros of index investing.
One of the pros of index investing is the low fee structure. Index investments are not actively managed, therefore the management fee is actually removed. A lot of fund managers can charge you anywhere from 2% or greater, and we'll see an example right now how that can eat into your wealth. So here's an example of my Vanguard account and one of the index funds that I invest in, the US Equity Index Fund. And if we go down to where it says ongoing charges, you can see that my charge right now is 0.1%. And if you flip the tile, it shows you that it's for management fees that are incurred to run the fund itself and transaction costs. But at any time, this is the highest fee I'll pay. This is significantly less than a lot of fund managers out there who can charge anything from 2% and upwards to manage your funds. So let's take a look at how these fees can impact your wealth over time. This is a fantastic tool, calculator.net, which we'll post in the show notes, that actually can show your return of rate and compound interest over time. So here in the starting amount, let's say we have $0 to invest. We're in this for the long haul, so let's say we're going to be investing for 30 years. Now the average return of the FTSE 100 or the UK stock market is around 5.4% in the last 20 years. And let's say we have about $500 to invest per month. Some of you may think this is a lot, some of you may think this is a little, but this is just an example to see how fees can erode your wealth. So if we calculate this over time, you'd end up with a nice little pot of change, $437,000 here, or pounds. Now, let's see how that would impact if you had a manager who took 2% of your return rate. So instead of 5.4, you would now getting a 3.4% return on your money. So over the course of the same time period with the same investment, you get closer to $300,000. That's a massive difference in your wealth. And this only gets exaggerated the more money you contribute. Let's take the example of investing $1,500 a month. Say you got a new promotion or you're advancing your career and you can actually save a little bit more. So using that same return rate of 5.4%, we can see, fantastic, I'm now a millionaire. 1.3 million over 30 years with that rate of return. Again, let's see what would happen if we added in 2% to the fund manager. 3.4% return. It's now around 920,000. That's a massive difference in wealth. You could do endless amounts with that money, and this shows you the impact of high fees from fund managers.
So another pro of index investing is passive management. You would eliminate the risk that your active fund manager spends his or her time researching stocks and bonds to buy in an effort to try and beat the market, risking the fact that they might pick a few losers and also miss some of the good ones, thus ultimately underperforming the market index. The Journal of Finance analyzed over 2,000 actively managed funds over a 30-year period, and they concluded that only 0.6% of managers actually showed any kind of skill when it came to outperforming the market. 0.6% is pretty close to zero, so it begs the question, what are we paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars to do?
Another major pro of index investing is that it's a diversified investment. Now you might be thinking, how can it be diversified if I only own one investment fund? What I'm going to show you now is what I invest in and how I spread my risk. So here we are back in the Vanguard investment account that I have and looking at the US Equity Index Fund that we looked at earlier. So you might be thinking, if I own this one product, how am I diversified? Well, to understand that, you just need to go down to the overview section and look at the tile that says the number of stocks. So this fund has over 3,300 stocks which it's invested in. And in my definition, that is diversified. But to go even further, if you go into the portfolio data section here, you can actually start looking at the data a little bit deeper and see why I'm diversified not only by the stocks that I have, but actually the sectors which I'm invested in. So right now, this particular fund, as you can see, its largest holding in information technology is nearly 20%. But you can see how many different sectors that I'm actually invested in. So not only are the stocks diversified, but the sectors are diversified as well.
Another pro to index investing is eliminating the need to value businesses. Let's be serious here. How many of us enjoy using our free time to run through company statements, do a macro analysis, look at competitors, etc., etc., etc.? Everything that you would need to do in order to really understand a business and determine if it has any long-term value. Personally, I have far better ways of spending my free time, and investing in an index fund eliminates the need to do all of that analysis.
One of my favorite reasons for index investing is it's really low maintenance. You don't have to spend time in the market every day, invest a lot of time researching companies just to find out what's going to be the next hot stock tip. What you do, set and forget. Every month when I get paid, I have a direct debit that goes into my Vanguard account that automatically buys the US stock market index. And there you go, it's done.
So now that we've discussed the pros of index investing, it's also important that we talk about some of the cons.
One of the major criticisms of index investing is that it's not very flexible. When the market's doing well, so are you. But what happens in the time of a recession? For example, if we look at 2008 and how the FTSE 100, the UK stock market, performed, it actually fell by roughly 30%, which means if you had an index fund which tracked the FTSE 100, your investments would also be down 30%. The argument for actively managed accounts is that they can actually help mitigate risks during these times of recession and help limit the impact on your overall wealth.
So the next con of index investing is a lack of reaction. So the market is not a perfect place, and mispricing oftentimes does occur. For example, let's talk about a company in the tech sector, like Apple. Say they had a smashingly good year and their stock price skyrocketed. Now, the other companies in the tech sector would benefit from this, and you would see their value slightly rise up as well. So they would become overvalued, and they would be a larger portion in the index. Now, the very opposite is true as well. Say there's a company that has a fucking shit year, and their stock price just plummets. Well, they might drag down the other companies in that sector with them, and the other companies would become undervalued. The argument is, if that you had an active manager, they'd be able to spot this in the market. So they'd be selling the tech companies that are way overpriced, and they would be buying the underpriced companies, thus giving you a better result.
Another thing that we found from a lot of people, which we thought was worth mentioning, was that index investing actually limits personal satisfaction. A lot of people get enjoyment out of researching and investing and ultimately cashing out on their wins that they get from personal investments. It's kind of like the same high you get from winning a blackjack hand. However, this can be a little misleading as well, because it can give you a false sense of confidence thinking that you can outsmart the market, which we've learned earlier is really tough to do. I'll leave it up to you to think if this is a pro or a con. Let's recap the pros of index investing. With index investing, there are really low management fees. It's a passive investment. Index funds are also heavily diversified in a number of different ways. It saves you time not having to research all these different types of companies to invest in, and it's extremely low maintenance.
The cons were riding the wave down. If the market falls, so will your index-linked fund. Lack of ability to react to any market developments, and limited personal satisfaction.
So that's it for now. We hope you guys are fully caught up on both the pros and the cons to index investing.
Thank you so much for watching. Please leave any questions or comments that you may have below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and see you guys all in the next one.